The HOA president broke into my mailbox in the middle of the night, then pretended she was dying from a bee sting I never gave her. Sirens, neighbors, cops. The whole circus on my front lawn while she gasped for air like she was on Broadway. But she didn't know every second of her performance was caught on camera and that it would be the very thing to destroy her. My name's Kyle Cruz, and for most of my life I believed a man's home was his castle. Nothing fancy, just a quiet house where you could wear mismatched socks, mow your lawn on Saturdays, and not worry about some self-appointed queen dictating your every move. But then came Karen Johnson, the new president of our HOA, a woman who wielded a clipboard like a sword and smiled like a crocodile before it snapped shut. At first, it was the little things. Notes about trash cans being visible for 31 minutes past pickup time. Letters warning us that our shutters weren't the approved shade of beige. She was obsessed with rules that didn't exist, inventing them overnight and slipping them under doors like little threats. You could almost hear the squeak of her golf cart tires echoing through the neighborhood, the sound of doom. My wife Heather, she's the calm one. Where I see red, she sees strategy. She'd always tell me, "Don't get mad, Kyle. Get smart." And I tried. But one Tuesday afternoon, I came home to find a fresh letter taped to our front door. It wasn't just us, every house on the block had one. It looked official, stamped with the HOA's smiling sun logo. The message, effective immediately, all mailboxes were subject to random hygiene and security inspections by the HOA board. Heather read it twice, her face going pale. "They can't do this," she said flatly. "It's a federal offense." And she was right. Tampering with mailboxes falls under federal law, specifically U.S. Code 18, Section 1705. But Karen wasn't interested in law. She was interested in power. She wanted to see what people received, what they hid, maybe even what they feared. It wasn't about safety, it was about control. That night, Heather pulled up the HOA covenants on her laptop. "Nothing here," she said after a few minutes. She made this up. I looked out the window. Karen's curtains twitched. She was watching. Always watching. We tried to laugh it off, but the next day she started making her rounds driving her golf cart with a flashing orange light clipboard in hand, jotting notes on everyone's lawn. That sound of her pen scratching against paper made my blood boil. I thought about fighting back then, marching right over, tearing up her fake bylaw in her face. But Heather stopped me. "That's what she wants," she said. "She'll film it, twist it, make you the villain. We'll beat her with facts, not fury." Still, I couldn't shake the anger. I saw what she'd done to others. My neighbor Nate, his kids used sidewalk chalk to draw rainbows and stick figures. She fined him $100 for unauthorized graffiti. The Millers down the street were forced to remove a garden gnome because it was non-naturalistic decor. Little pieces of happiness erased by her pettiness. And now she wanted to open my mailbox. That was the line. So I waited. 3 nights parked in my car near the mailbox cluster, pretending to be some suburban detective. The first 2 nights, nothing. Just sprinklers and stray cats. But on the 3rd night she came. Her golf cart rolled up with the lights off. She got out dressed in black, holding a small flashlight and a keychain. My heart pounded as she opened the master panel, every single mailbox swinging open like she owned the place. She started shining her light inside each one, flipping through mail, reading addresses. She wasn't inspecting. She was spying. I stepped out. Looking for something Karen. She jumped, nearly dropped her flashlight. Then her face hardened. "You're stalking me," she snapped. "You're threatening an HOA official." And just like that, she started recording. I pointed to the open mailboxes. "You're committing a federal crime, Karen." Right then, headlights appeared. Barry, her loyal yes-man, came screeching around the corner. He jumped out and shoved me, yelling that I was attacking the president. I stumbled back, hit the curb hard. Karen screamed into her phone. "He assaulted me." Her voice trembled with fake terror. It was a setup, and I'd walked right into it. I came home bleeding and humiliated. Heather didn't say "I told you so." She just cleaned my cut and said, "Her move. Now it's ours." That night, we called the Postal Inspection Service. Inspector Ramos listened carefully but told us the truth. My word alone wasn't enough. We needed undeniable proof, video evidence of her opening my mailbox and tampering with it. Heather looked at me, eyes glinting. "He didn't say we can't catch her. And that's when the plan was born. I keep bees just as a hobby. Calming, methodical creatures. Organized. Predictable. Everything Karen wasn't. I looked out at my hives and said, "What if we let the bees deliver justice?" Heather frowned. Not real ones. Not real ones, I promised. We spent the next 2 days building what we called the bee box. A small, wooden observation hive with a clear plexiglass side, a hidden Bluetooth speaker, and a dozen harmless drone bees, males with no stingers, buzzing softly inside. Heather printed a laminated yellow label. "Warning: live bees, do not open. Property of Cruz family apiary." We taped that warning inside the mailbox door so she'd have to open it to see it. We set up hidden cameras from 3 angles and a microphone disguised as a rock. The trap was ready. For 2 days, nothing. Karen's golf cart passed by slowly, her eyes flicking toward the mailboxes, curiosity practically vibrating off her. Then, at dusk on the 3rd day, she took the bait. Heather and I were watching the camera feeds from our living room. The light outside was fading purple and gold as Karen crept up to the mailbox cluster. She looked around, fumbled with her copied key, and opened our mailbox door. The camera caught everything, the warning label inches from her face. She hesitated, read the words, and still reached in. Her fingers wrapped around the box. She pulled it out, gave it one curious look, and lifted the lid. The tiny speaker blared the sound of 1,000 furious bees. A puff of yellow chalk dust exploded into her face. The harmless drones flew out, bumbling into the air like little golden bullets of karma. Karen screamed a full horror movie shriek that echoed down the block. She dropped the box, flailing her arms, stumbling back onto someone's lawn. The bees, "I'm allergic, I can't breathe." Neighbors came rushing out. Barry showed up like clockwork, pretending to be her hero. She pointed straight at me, even though I hadn't moved from my porch. He did it. He tried to kill me. Soon, the flashing red and blue lights arrived. EMTs rushed in, checked her vitals, 99% oxygen, perfect blood pressure, 0 stings. She refused the EpiPen they offered. The cop gave me a tired look. "Sir, we'll need your statement." That night, I sat in silence. I felt like maybe I'd gone too far. Maybe this was my fault. Maybe I'd just fed into her game. For the first time, I wondered if I was becoming the villain she wanted me to be. Heather reached over, took my hand. "Kyle," she said softly, "you didn't hurt anyone. You caught her lying. Now let's finish this." 2 days later, the HOA called an emergency meeting to address the violent incident. Karen arrived in a neck brace, milking the sympathy. She spoke in a trembling voice, describing how she barely survived a malicious bee attack orchestrated by the Cruz family. Barry stood beside her, nodding gravely. Then it was my turn. Heather and I didn't argue. We didn't yell. We just set up our little projector and pressed play. First frame, the fake HOA letter. Second, the night footage of her using the illegal key to open the master panel. Third, the crystal-clear close-up of her reading the live bees warning and opening the box anyway. The room went silent. Someone gasped. Heather's voice stayed calm as she narrated federal law prohibits tampering with mailboxes. Ms. Johnson violated that law. And the bees. They were harmless male drones. They can't sting. Then she held up the EMT report, oxygen normal, no stings, refused treatment. Karen's face flushed red beneath the makeup. Her perfect performance crumbled. But it got worse. Neighbor Nate stood up, shaking but determined. "I have something," he said, holding up his phone. "She texted me this after the incident." He scrolled and read aloud. "Did you see the drama tonight? That'll teach the Cruzes to defy the board. Best part, I'm not even allergic to bees." The crowd erupted. Mrs. Miller, the lady with the gnome, shouted, "And I want Gus back." Others chimed in stories of fines, threats, petty humiliations. Years of silence broke into chaos. And then, through the noise, a man at the back of the room stood. Gray jacket, calm face. Inspector Ramos. He'd come quietly just to observe, but when the shouting died, he stepped forward and placed a folded paper on the table in front of Karen. "Karen Johnson," he said evenly, "you are officially cited for unlawful mail tampering. False report is under review. You'll be hearing from our office." Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Barry backed away like she was contagious. The board resigned on the spot, and just like that, the tyrant of Elmwood Estates lost her crown. As the crowd buzzed with disbelief, I just stood there watching her stare at the floor. The same woman who once demanded perfect lawns, perfect shutters, perfect compliance, now perfectly powerless. I didn't smile, I didn't celebrate, I just felt done. Karen moved out within a month, fined by the federal government, humiliated by her own lies. The neighborhood changed after that, freer, lighter, almost human again. But that part's not my story to tell. Because for me, it ended that night standing in that room realizing that justice doesn't always roar. It hums, it buzzes, it stings in silence until the truth finally breaks free. Sometimes all it takes to expose a bully is one angry hive.